She was born far from the centers of world power. But one day, she would rule an entire island kingdom. And her name would become one of the most debated in history. Backhand index pointing right, Queen Ranavalona I. In the late 18th century, on the island of Madagascar, a girl was born into a world of political intrigue. Her name was Ramavo. At the time, Madagascar was not a single unified nation. Different kingdoms controlled different regions. Among them, the most powerful was the Merina kingdom. Its rulers were expanding their influence across the island. Ramavo's life changed when her family became connected to the royal court. According to tradition, her father warned the future king about a plot against him. In gratitude, the king adopted Ramavo into the royal family. That decision changed everything. Suddenly, a girl who might have lived an ordinary life, was now living among nobles. Learning the customs of power. Watching how alliances were built. And how quickly they could collapse. She grew up surrounded by ambition, court politics, and constant competition. She learned a lesson early: in the palace, trust was fragile, and survival depended on strength. As she matured, Ramavo married Prince Radama, the heir to the throne. A man who would later become one of Madagascar's most famous rulers. When he became king, backhand index pointing right, Radama I, he pursued modernization and established relationships with European powers. Missionaries arrived. Trade increased. And Madagascar began changing rapidly. But while Radama focused on reform, Ramavo watched quietly. Observing. Learning. Waiting. Because she understood something important. Power is never permanent. And one day, an opportunity would come. When the king died, the real battle began. In 1828, King Radama I died. And his death created uncertainty. Who would rule next? Many believed the throne should pass to another relative. But Ramavo had allies. Powerful supporters within the military and court. And she moved quickly. Before her rivals could act, she secured the palace. Gathered loyal forces. And declared herself queen. She took a new name. Backhand index pointing right, Queen Ranavalona I. It was a dramatic rise. But holding power would be even harder than gaining it. Any ruler who claimed the throne faced opposition, and Ranavalona knew that hesitation could be dangerous. So she acted decisively. Potential rivals were removed from positions of influence. Her authority was made clear. There would be one ruler. And one voice. Hers. Many in the kingdom accepted her rule. Others feared what might come next. Because Ranavalona's vision was very different from Radama's. Where he had welcomed foreign influence, she was deeply cautious. Where he looked outward, she looked inward. She wanted to preserve Madagascar's traditions. And protect her kingdom from outside control. Supporters saw her as a defender of sovereignty. Critics saw her as harsh and uncompromising. But one thing was certain. She intended to rule with absolute authority. And over the next 3 decades, her reign would become one of the most controversial in history. Winning the throne was only the beginning. Keeping it would define her reign. Once she became queen, Queen Ranavalona I moved quickly to secure her authority. She rewarded loyal supporters, strengthened the military, and ensured that every part of the kingdom understood one thing: her rule would not be challenged. The royal court became a place of careful calculation. Alliances mattered. Words mattered. And loyalty mattered most of all. Ranavalona relied on trusted advisors. One of the most influential was backhand index pointing right, Rainiharo, a skilled military and political leader. Together, they worked to stabilize the kingdom. The queen emphasized traditional customs and royal ceremonies. These rituals reinforced her legitimacy. They reminded the people that the monarchy was more than political power. It was a sacred institution. To supporters, she was a strong ruler protecting Madagascar. To critics, she was increasingly severe. But from Ranavalona's perspective, strength was necessary. Because she believed that any sign of weakness could invite rebellion or foreign interference. And she was determined to allow neither. She believed outside influence could change her kingdom forever. So she made a difficult choice. During the reign of Ranavalona I, European missionaries and traders had gained influence. Schools were established. Christianity began to spread. And new ideas entered the kingdom. Queen Ranavalona I viewed these changes with caution. She feared that foreign powers often began with trade and religion, and ended with political control. So she gradually restricted outside influence. Missionary activities were limited. Foreign presence was reduced, and traditional Malagasy beliefs and practices were strongly reinforced. These decisions made her controversial. European observers often portrayed her harshly. But within Madagascar, many saw her actions differently. To them, she was defending the kingdom's independence. At a time when much of Africa was coming under foreign pressure. Ranavalona's message was clear: Madagascar would follow its own path. Not one chosen by outsiders. Yet the more she tightened control, the more divided opinion became. Was she preserving sovereignty? Or isolating her people? That question continues to shape how history remembers her. For some, she was a protector. For others, she was a ruler to be feared. As the years passed, Queen Ranavalona I became the central force in Madagascar. Her decisions shaped nearly every part of life. The military remained powerful. Traditional customs were strongly emphasized. And loyalty to the crown was expected. For many people, the kingdom remained independent during a period when outside powers were expanding across the world. That was no small achievement. But her rule was also demanding. Policies were strict. Dissent was risky. And the atmosphere at court could be tense. The queen believed that unity required discipline. Her supporters praised her determination. Her critics argued that her methods were too severe. Yet despite the controversy, she remained firmly in control. For decades. And that alone made her one of the most remarkable rulers of her time. Even the most powerful ruler faces opposition. The question is whether they can survive it. No reign lasts for decades without resistance. Queen Ranavalona I faced both internal and external pressures. Within the kingdom, court rivalries never fully disappeared. Political alliances shifted. And ambitious figures watched for opportunities. Outside Madagascar, foreign powers remained interested in the island. Its location in the Indian Ocean made it strategically valuable. Its resources and trade routes attracted attention. Ranavalona remained cautious. She balanced diplomacy with firm control, and relied on trusted advisors to help maintain stability. Among them was backhand index pointing right Ranavalona. Though he rose to prominence after her reign, the broader tradition of powerful prime ministers shaped Malagasy politics. Through changing circumstances, Ranavalona endured. Year after year. Challenge after challenge. And as time passed, her rule became legendary. But even legendary reigns must eventually come to an end. For more than 3 decades, she had ruled with absolute authority. But time challenges every ruler. By the 1850s, Queen Ranavalona I had already spent decades on the throne. She had survived political rivalries, foreign pressure, and countless challenges to her authority. Few rulers anywhere in the world could match the longevity of her reign. But age was catching up with her. The kingdom she had fought so hard to protect was changing. A new generation had grown up. New ideas were spreading. And even within the court, some leaders began to imagine a different future for Madagascar. Ranavalona remained determined. Until the very end, she continued to defend the independence of her kingdom. In 1861, after ruling for approximately 33 years, Queen Ranavalona I died. Her reign was over. But the debate about her rule was only beginning. Was she a ruthless ruler? Or the woman who kept her kingdom independent? History remembers Queen Ranavalona I in dramatically different ways. Some portray her as one of the harshest rulers of the 19th century. A queen whose policies were strict and often controversial. Others view her as a determined leader. A ruler who resisted foreign domination at a time when many nations lost their independence. And that context matters. During her reign, European empires were expanding across Africa and Asia. Yet Madagascar remained sovereign. That was one of her greatest achievements. Her methods continue to be debated. But her impact is undeniable. She ruled for more than 3 decades. Defended her kingdom's autonomy. And left behind one of the most fascinating legacies in world history. Even today, her story raises an important question. How should we judge leaders who protected their nations, but ruled with uncompromising authority? Perhaps the answer depends on which part of the story you focus on. But one thing is certain. Queen Ranavalona I was not forgotten. And history still speaks her name. To some, she was a tyrant. To others, she was Madagascar's shield.